academic resource session. So it's been an idea for some time to have a session where we can gather everybody in the academic area to just give a bit of more information about how we can support academic area from Qfinsoft and Ansys side. So welcome everybody, glad you can all attend. We will be sharing the recording afterwards as well. Evan, can you skip to the next slide? So in the agenda or the invite, there was an agenda that we're going to follow for today. It will be an introduction on Qfinsoft. Then we'll focus a bit of an introduction on Ansys, and we will lead there into focusing on the student side in terms of resources for them, and then mainly focus on the resources for the lecturers who's attending today. And then there's a interesting few things that we want to share in terms of how we can support from Qfinsoft Ansys side towards academic funding and student teams. And then it will be an open discussion and everybody are welcome to ask any questions then afterwards. So next slide, Evan. Maybe firstly, for those attending, I'm Laura Van Niekerk and I work for Qfinsoft, and I'm responsible for the academic clients in Western Cape area and Namibia, and we are also focusing on other academic companies and clients within South Africa and Africa, hence why we are focusing on an Africa session today. So Qfinsoft ourselves, we are the leading CAE software service provider in Southern Africa and Africa. We have 2 locations, 2 offices. So one is Stellenbosch, as I said, where I'm based, and the rest of our technical support and marketing team. And then there's another office in Irene, where we have another lead salespeople as well as technical support, which we can cover in the next slide. Evan, you can move on. Just so that you know, we are certified resellers of the Ansys solution. We offer it, which we will focusing today on the academic side of it, so the campus licenses, but we also work with the commercial industry, and we focus on design and simulation consulting, as well as supporting clients who do have access to the software, and to make sure that they know exactly what can be achieved by using the software correctly and accurately, and to drive innovation. So this is just for those who don't know us as an organization yet. This is just introduction on the team. So we're not a very big team, but this is the team who is in South Africa. As I said, we split into 2 locational offices. We've got sales engineers, technical applications engineers, marketing assistant, and of course, directors who's owning the company. Also a few logos of academic clients that we're already supporting in South Africa and in Africa, and just to show a bit who we are really supporting with this initiative already. So that's a bit about Qfinsoft and introduction on ourselves and the company who's supporting you in South Africa. And then we also have the support of Ansys internationally as well. So it goes to a bigger team, but the ones first-hand support is Qfinsoft in South Africa. So now I'll hand over to Evan, who will be focusing on Ansys and taking you through the rest of the details. But firstly, if I maybe just introduce Evan. So Evan is a senior application engineer, and he's been working for Qfinsoft. Evan, it's 5 years? 7 years? Where are we now?
Yeah, a bit longer, 7 years, yeah. It's been long.
And Evan supported me a lot on the academic area and efforts in the Western Cape area where we focus on. So those of you who's in the Western Cape area, you will be very familiar with Evan by now, and those who's not, Evan will be able to take us further into more details on the academic initiatives. So thanks, over to you, Evan.
Cool. Thank you, Laura. Right, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you may be based. So I'm just going to start off here with a little bit of a background to Ansys for those who are maybe not as familiar with Ansys as a brand, just to kind of understand who they are and what they represent in terms of sort of their offering. So we consider Ansys as the #1 engineering simulation provider worldwide. And the reason for this is they are, or simulation is their core business. That is all that they do. They don't get distracted with other types of products or offerings. It's all about simulation. So it's really about developing that offering, developing that core business, and making it as easy to access for all users across the world. Not just advanced users, but also more entry level as well, across all sort of spectrums and disciplines. So this is why we not really specific to any particular industry. We kind of go from anything aerospace, defense, telecommunications, biomedical, consumer products, all sorts of areas. We try and be as versatile as we can and integrate all the different products across the different physics as well. So sort of in a nutshell, we're quite a large company, growing over the last 20, 30 years. Ansys itself is over 50 years old, but over the last 20, 30 years, they've really sort of picked up the pace in terms of growth, mostly through acquisitions, adding sort of very niche and specialized products along the way to kind of broaden their offering across a whole range of different disciplines and industries. So we consider ourselves the best in all of these areas, and also about integrating these products together. Often when people think of simulation, they think of sort of individual physics, so just a structural analysis or a fluids analysis or something like that. Obviously, this discipline has grown over the years. We can do electronics, we can do optical analysis, right down to sort of photonic level at the chip semiconductor level. So we can really do lots of these individual disciplines, but it's really about bringing these together, connecting them into some sort of multi-physics analysis, which is a lot more realistic than just considering one type of physics at a time. And then it's all the kind of support services around this. So what materials do we use in the construction of our components? How do we optimize the design? How do we link this together as part of some bigger system analysis? So there's we try and kind of link all these different products together to give you a much bigger, broader picture of the type of design or system that you're trying to analyze. And also one of the real big philosophies of Ansys is it's not just, simulation is not just this thing that you kind of bring in at the end of the design phase just to kind of tick a box and move on, because often that's too late. By the time you get to the end of the design and you find out there's a problem, you don't really want to go back, or it's very costly to go back and try and redesign things. So a lot of the way the software is developing and growing over the time is really about how do we bring simulation in right from the conceptual design phase, looking at designs early enough, trying to eliminate the bad ones and focusing on the good ones before we then put more effort into design of those components. And then also taking it sort of down the line further, we look at sort of the manufacturing techniques. Can we simulate these and make them more efficient and better quality? And then we can also look at the actual operation of the product, look at its in-service operation. So this will be sort of, we talk about digital twins. So you have your virtual model sitting on the computer somewhere, and we link that to the real world product through some sort of sensor feedback system. So we can kind of compare the real world operation to the virtual operation that we expect from our design. So there's been a lot of development at all kind of levels of this phase, and we have various products in those different areas. I'm not necessarily going to go through every single product, but here's a sort of an example in terms of linking our product names to the type of things we can do. So anything from antennas and electric motors and things like that. We can look at material design and optimization. We can do optic design, acoustic analysis, structural analysis, and these days even doing embedded software design, sort of automated design to automatically create the software programs, and then also linking this in terms of safety and how do we design for safe procedures and have reliability in our, not only the physical product, but also the software and the control of that product. So there's been a lot of development across all these different disciplines. And then, as we said today, we're going to kind of focus now, how can we Ansys help you guys in academia? This is often the starting point for many people in their simulation journey, where they learn about simulation and get exposed to it. And, as we'll see now that, in industry, there's growing demand for simulation engineers, or certainly a growing usage of simulation in design. These days, at least 60% of engineers are using, or at least certainly the engineers in the top companies are using simulation in some form or another. And if we look at the growth over the last sort of 20 odd years, we've almost had like a fourfold increase in the usage amongst engineers. And we expect this trend to keep continuing to the point where virtually every engineer will need to integrate or use simulation as in some part of their design cycle along the way. And this is across all industries as well. So there's certainly a need for engineers to be exposed to simulation in some way, so that when they do hit industry, they are at least have an idea of what it's all about and how they can use it as a design tool. So there's various ways to use it. One of them is a design tool. One is for research. So there's a lot of ways that the software can be used to kind of supplement or complement, rather is probably a better word, complement the normal design process that many engineers are exposed to. So, the idea of how can we bring this in at university level, at least expose the students to it in some sort of holistic way, that they're better prepared for when they leave university. So this is kind of where the Ansys Academic program comes in, and it's not really a set program, but it's a multiple different tools and offerings that are there to help not only you, the lecturers, but also the students themselves to kind of really leverage the power of simulation and kind of bring it into their sort of everyday projects. So we'll kind of talk about how what these different offerings are and kind of where to look for them and where to find them. So this is something that's, it's not just sort of a quick thing that Ansys has done. This is something that's really developed over the years, and they've really added value to it along the way. And so we want to kind of help you get access to these different programs to help you in your curriculums. And I think it's important to know that it's not just, often when it comes to universities, we kind of think of simulation as this kind of research tool, sort of here in the center. It's just a research thing for postgrads, but it's really, the software's come a long way, and it's really helpful even at undergrad level as well. So, anything from first year to final year could certainly be used by undergrads. Technology is a lot easier to use and sort of easier to get up to speed with it. So there's a lot of opportunity there as well. And then also for sort of further education, I guess you can think in terms of competition teams or things that happen kind of after hours. There's certainly a lot of support around those and how students can use that as part of their project work. And kind of, I guess, further to that, I think we're focusing more on the kind of university kind of after school level here, but simulations often also been seen as a way to help high school students to maybe have access to technology that they wouldn't normally be able to do. Maybe they can't go build lots of structures, but if they've at least got a computer, they can do some work and study things. So particularly things like F1 in schools. We're looking at developing a partnership here locally with that, where we all through F1 and Formula One racing, integration of the school teams, then doing STEM education. Maybe there's a way we can bring in simulation to help education in that area as well. So starting off, the kind of starting, I guess, the starting place for any sort of involvement at sort of some sort of learning institution is to get a license for Ansys. So one of the main offerings that we have for academics is what we call the multi-physics campus bundle or campus solution. And it's really just one, it's a bundle of multiple Ansys products all kind of grouped together into one license. So the idea is you're not just buying a structural package or a fluids package, you're actually buying a combination of them. So you get multiple licenses in all the main disciplines. So you have access to these licenses for both research and teaching purposes. And the idea is we kind of group a whole lot of licenses together because it's you get more value for money that way. And then obviously you can kind of then work with different departments. So, maybe your fluids sort of team or department will have their focus, and then the electronic guys will have their focus, but maybe somewhere in between they want to do some sort of electronics cooling analysis. So now they've got both licenses that can talk to each other, and so they can then integrate their research and their work as well. And typically how these licenses work is they kind of come in levels. So there'll always be a certain amount of research licenses typically for postgrad research. These are full level licenses with, I think, no restrictions, but obviously there's a sort of academic terms and conditions that go with that. And then we always supplement these with an extra amount of teaching licenses. So these are akin to the student version, which we'll see just now. That can be used particularly in the classroom. So it's meant for simpler models, sort of more basic physics that you can then use in the classroom, and also give students access for projects and things like that. So that's how these bundles work, and they're really a great starting point for everyone. And also, I guess, for those who are always conscious of cost, the nice thing about having multiple physics all in one bundle is that you can kind of get all the different research groups together and kind of share the load here. So, many institutions do have the kind of model where each sort of department or research group kind of contributes in some way, depending on their usage. So it kind of lightens the loads and for each group, and hopefully makes it a little bit more affordable. And then, so this is kind of the start is obviously getting the license, but then we offer, or through Ansys, we offer many different additional programs and resources to build on this. So I think I've probably talked mostly to the slide, but this is exactly, these multi-physics bundles come with multiple different products that can be used by different departments, each in their own specialization, or they can also kind of collaborate and use multiple products together in one project. All right, so looking, well, this is not, it doesn't have to be only for students. We've kind of just grouped it because this might be, or it can be accessible by students themselves. So first up is the student version of Ansys software. So this is a free version that students can go to the Ansys website and download themselves. There's no licensing sort of requirements at all. I think you just give your student email address and then you link on, and then the software is valid for a year and you can go ahead and use it. Obviously, it's a little bit limited in terms of the size of the model that you can do with the software. But most of the features are there, and it certainly gives you a taste of simulation. And the great thing is you don't need a license. So you can work at home, you can work offline, wherever you need to be. So students don't have to be on campus to use it. And traditionally with Ansys Student, this has been very much a mechanical-based product in terms of the mechanical FEA products, CFD, and all of that. We do differentiate. There is a separate one for electronics, for those doing sort of HFSS or Maxwell, so motor design, antenna design, all of those kind of electronic products. That's there. We also do have for optics as well as Rocky's, quite a recent addition here. So this is for particle-based bulk material handling type simulations. And then we even have SCADE as well. So those that are doing code generation and embedded software control of components, we even have a student version for that. So the students can go ahead and download and work with those. And these are very, in terms of the capabilities, it's very much on par with those teaching licenses that are offered with the campus multiphysics bundles. Right, then further to that, so once you've got the software, now how do you go about using it? So this is where Ansys brings in these innovation courses, as they call it. So this is a whole lot of online courses, very short courses that anyone can go up and sort of attend. So they are essentially self-paced courses, so all the materials there's different modules, and you kind of work through it bit by bit. So there's a bit of background information, there's a bit of simulation aspect to it, and so you can really kind of go there to further your knowledge. So some of it is very much obviously simulation focused on Ansys, but others is just pure basic engineering. What is a turbulence model? How does a viscous fluid work? How do we calculate stress and strain in a material? So there's various sort of more just general engineering courses there. So this is really to kind of help, or any user really, either you, the lecturers or the students, get extra value from the software, because now you actually understand what it is you're doing and what the software has to offer. So you go ahead and to this website, ansys.com/courses, and have a look and see what courses are available there, and might be something to kind of further your knowledge. Then sort of taking this one step further, for those users who do want a more sort of in-depth knowledge on particularly Ansys products, we have something called the Learning Hub. So this is somewhere where students or lecturers can actually go and access learning material on specific products. So we can look at products, we can look at specific applications, maybe composites or battery design or something. The courses are geared around those topics. And obviously there's different levels of courses along the way. So, this is for those who do want that, maybe don't have the learning in-house in your institution, but want to add to that. These courses are available on the Learning Hub. But this is a subscription service. So speak to your local sales rep to get access to this learning portal. Right, then another free service for Ansys users is the online learning forum. So this is basically a sort of a help forum where students and research and anyone can go and log on and ask a question to the community. They can search other questions that are there, sort of get some help, feedback. Maybe there's other people that are also having a similar problem that they need some help and guidance with. So this is a great place if you've got any issues or trying to take on a new type of simulation or something like this. This is a great starting point for any sort of research or learning about the product. And we try and also recommend people to use this forum as a first stop, because it is open to everyone. So, everyone can learn from someone else. Maybe someone else has had the same problem as you. Maybe you're the first to ask, but other people do want to know the answer. So it's a great place to collaborate and learn from everyone. So if you log on here, Ansys Forum, it is a free service for anyone to access. And then also with a lot of these courses that we've been talking about, we can also arrange, or some of the online self-paced courses do come with a certification. And for those that don't, we can always kind of arrange something. that once you've proven that you've completed all the coursework, online there's various steps through each course. So as you go and you work through each level, when you finish, you will be able to get this certification from Ansys. So it's a way to kind of track your progress, track your learning, and then you can also kind of take this forward and go to employer or whoever and say, hey, I've done all these courses in Ansys. I'm a proficient user. I'm sort of, upskilled myself along the way. So this is quite a nice sort of way just to show that you or reward the effort that you put into to gain some extra skills. Then also relatively new sort of offering here is this Foundational Fridays webinar series. So this is something where they're starting regular webinars on various topics, on different simulation topics, learning a little bit about the software and the background as to what's going on, and also just about simulation in general. So it's a way to learn, again, but more about the software and how to improve your skills and learn new features and things like that. So these are going to happen more and more regularly now. And we also will, we're also trying to develop a newsletter from ourselves, from Qfinsoft side, where we will actually help announce all these upcoming events and webinars and things, so that you guys can know what's coming up and make sure that you're there if it sounds like it's something that's relevant to you. Okay, then looking specifically now at educator level or lecturer level. So this is something more for those that are giving the courses. We do have a webinar series specifically for your sort of position, because these are ways of, it's not just about how the software works, but it's maybe ways to how to use it in your curriculum, how to develop coursework and learning projects revolving around simulation that can add value to your coursework and to the learning of the students. A lot of lecturers mention that they don't always have space for experimental equipment anymore, and doing lab work is getting harder, but maybe simulation is a way to sort of supplement that or potentially replace that in an easier manner. So, listen out for these webinar series, and maybe it'll give you some food for thought as to ways to add value to your teaching curriculum. Again, this will be part of the newsletter that we're working on, that we will help announce or announce when these things are coming up, so that you know that they're happening. But then you're also welcome to search the Ansys website for them as well. Then we also have various resource packs for educators. So this is sort of pre-built or pre-designed little resources for different types of courses that you can then include somehow into your curriculum. So these could be either just general information or general projects that where a student can learn a topic, but it will involve simulation in some respects. So where they can go and maybe learn about stress in a structure, in a lever arm, for example, and then they can actually go visualize it in the simulation software itself, as well as learning about the theory and everything along the way. So, for those of you who are looking for something new and something interesting to add to your curriculum, this could be quite a nice way. A lot of the legwork has been done for you. So you could always incorporate this in some form or another. Then we also, sort of building on this, we have the Educator Hub. So this is an online portal where you can access all these different topics and other training, sort of short courses and things like that might help you sort of learn about the software or learn about how to use the software in terms of sort of teaching methods. So this is also something that worth checking out and learning a little bit about where or different ways in which you could use simulation to add value there. Okay, and then the important one for everyone is where do I get money to do all this? Because this sounds really amazing. How do I but how do I have the time and resources to get into this? So one of the ways that Ansys offers support to actually get some of these sort of programs off the ground is through something we call the funded curriculum. So this is where, if you are wanting to develop some sort of coursework or project work or something along the way that has simulation as a core component, you can then go to Ansys and you submit a proposal and say, this is what I'd like to do. These are the costs that I need to cover to be able to achieve this. Maybe I need a little bit of hardware to set it up. Maybe I need to pay a sort of a student or a teaching assistant to actually develop this curriculum. How do I go about this? So you develop your proposal, and then Ansys will actually provide funding for you to do this. We've had a few successful applications over the last couple of years. I think maybe in future webinars we'll kind of highlight some of their stories and some of the things that they've got up to using this funded curriculum. Some examples of what's being developed around the world. So in fact, I think some of these are free. For example, the Cornell ones. So they actually do offer some free courses, some paid courses. So they've actually developed, much longer courses around simulation, around engineering, and some of them are actually included as part of a sort of mini master's program as well. So if you do enough of the modules, you'll actually could walk away with a bit of a qualification there, or at least partial. So, these are some ideas of where this has been implemented around the world. So certainly, think about sort of how can we help you in terms of achieving some of these, some of these goals here. Then next one is student teams. So this is, I think, quite a valuable sort of additional after-hours teaching resource that really could be leveraged a lot more. There's always student competitions going on every year. I mean, in South Africa, we've had the mini barges, we've had the solar car challenge, all sorts of things. And so again, to help the teams get off the ground and get somewhere, we do offer a lot of support and resources for those teams. You can go ahead and as when you sign up, you get access to a lot of the Ansys software, so you can actually go ahead and sort of design your whatever it is, whether it's your race car or whatever around using simulation. You can then obviously achieve that design a lot better and learn a lot more from the design than just kind of some sort of basic hand calcs or something like that. So as part of the student teams, you get access to the full commercial versions, because obviously now you're running much bigger projects than just little test models in a little prac, afternoon prac. So you get the full version. So even if you don't have access to it in terms of a multi-physics bundle or something like that, you will still get access to the some software from the different disciplines. So CFD, mechanical, all the kind of the usual products we have. We give you HPC licenses for really big simulations, and access to things like grant and materials database and the electronics products and so on. So you can really sort of design whatever it is that you need to do for this competition and have access to all the resources that you have available. So yeah, please get in contact with us. Let us know what teams or competitions you want to take part in and how we can help you along the way. There's a student teams website on Ansys. So if you search for the ansys.com teams, you can actually go ahead and request a partnership, and actually get some assistance and start the process there. But I mean, we're more than happy to help as your local representatives for Ansys. We've also, just on that, we have had a few successful teams as well, particularly in the solar car challenge and things like that. So yeah, we do have a lot of history with that locally as well. Yeah, so this is just saying it's a relatively simple process. You sign up, you say you're interested, and then you start getting your licenses. So it's not a very lengthy process. We try and make it as easy and streamlined for you as we can. So for now, we just wanted to highlight quite a recent case study that has sort of gone live on both on Ansys website. This is for the ASRI, the Aerospace Systems Research Institute at UKZN. So they've been working quite a lot recently, the last couple of years, using Ansys software to design their rockets. So they're really reinvigorating the space and rocket industry in South Africa. So they've been using both our CFD analysis as well as the structural mechanics as well, particularly around composites. They designed a lot of their rocket structure around composite materials. So they've been using our software for their successful test launches. I think it was end of last year, they had a few successful launches. So we've gone and as part of this academic partnership, we've actually gone and created some blogs and case studies that get published on the Ansys website. So, not only is this this partnership with us and Ansys helping you in terms of getting the products and the tools that you need, but you can also get great marketing traction from this. Okay, so it's a great way. Ansys wants to get your story out there. They want the world to know what you're up to and the cool things you're doing. So it's really a kind of a win-win situation for everyone. So yeah, please reach out if you have some sort of project or something like this that you want some support, involvement from our side. We're more than happy to help. All right, I think that's it for, sorry, I was going to go to that one. Yeah, that's it for the end of our talk for today. Just really highlighting some of the offerings that we have to support you as the educators, helping to bring simulation to add value, add an extra dimension to your teaching. Yeah, so please reach out to us if you have any questions or if there's any way that we can help. Right, that's it.
Thanks a lot.
Are there any questions?
Then, yeah, let's see. Is there any questions from the audience? If you don't want to ask, you can put the question in the chat.
I think you are going to share the presentation here, Laura.
Here's Anel. I think. Now, Hutu, you can ask if you unmute. Yeah, please go for it.
Thank you. Just maybe a quick one. Does Ansys works with other CAD softwares? You can be doing like the design work on the other software, and then you would like to do a simulation where that software is not capable of doing it.
Yes, precisely. So we have a CAD tool as part of Ansys. We call it Ansys Discovery, but we're not requiring you to use it. You can do your design in SolidWorks, in Creo, and whatever, and then you bring it into the Ansys products from there. So Discovery can translate whatever CAD model you've got, and it can transfer it into an Ansys format, and then you can work with it. So yeah, we're quite happy to work with other sort of software formats.
Sorry, maybe one more question. Is it capable of doing thermal simulations as well?
Yes. No, I didn't sort of explicitly mention that, but we can do anything. So structural, thermal, fluid flow, electronics, all sorts of things. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and in fact, on the thermal side, it depends which type of thermal analysis you want to do. Different products have their strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, thanks for those questions. There's another question in the chat about do we offer training? So what's our way of offering training to students and lecturers?
Yeah, so we have various options there. So in fact, from a student side, we have we now run an annual student online training that's coming up quite soon, actually. Just trying to check the dates before I tell her. Is it 2 weeks' time? No, it's actually next week. Sorry, yeah, time's flying on. So we actually have some online training next week for students. The idea being it's online, it's free to access. They just need to sign up on the website, and at least it kind of gives them a bit of an introduction to the software to get going. But if you want more sort of hands-on training, if you want someone there in person on site, we're more than welcome or more than happy to do that. We can then just have a discussion exactly how we work around the logistics, and then typically there's a cost associated with that in-person training.
Even on that, I think the question is very much focusing on teaching the lecturers first so that they can then teach the students.
Yeah, no, that's well, yeah, that's a good distinction. So, I think from the training next week as well, the instructors are welcome to attend as a starting point. If you want more detailed training, because obviously you might want more knowledge so that you can actually teach it to the students, then we can certainly be there on site with you, give you more personalized training, and we can just then have work out the logistics around that.
There's another question in the chat. It's about mineral processing.
Specialized mineral.
Yeah.
Yeah. So typically we'll, if you're looking at like froth flotation or something like that, we'd use Ansys Fluent for that. It's been used for many years. People that I studied with used the CFD, the computational fluid dynamics, to study stirred tanks and flotation, separating out bubbles and particles and things like that. So yeah, again, our software is not necessarily specific to one industry. If you can have a CAD model, particularly in 3D or 2D, 3D, if you have a CAD model of your design, we can go ahead and simulate that. So it's pretty agnostic to any type of discipline. And then the next one was applying for next week's training. Laura, I think that's on our website.
Yes, it's on the website, but that was closed yesterday at 5 p.m., unfortunately.
Okay.
However, we will get in touch and communicate more details on the next training session that we can offer.
Yeah, I think it's probably quite a lot of people, so we might have to run a second training at some point.
Yes, I'm sure we'll schedule a second one and we'll be in touch. So thanks for asking that question as well.
Okay, then next question, plasma physics and chemistry simulations. So I guess it depends on what type of physics that you're trying to look at there. So for example, in Fluent, we do a lot of chemical reactions because invariably there are a lot of liquids and gases and things that do react. We do combustion, and a lot of that physics is handled within Fluent. We also have another product called Chemkin, which I'm less familiar with, but it also deals with a lot of materials and material reactions and things like that. So certainly we can handle some of that. And also Fluent's great. It's got a lot of flexibility. You can create a user-defined function. So if you have a very unique material or type of physics interaction that's not handled there, then you can include that as well into the simulation. Okay, so that's typically Fluent's very much around the flow side of things, which I would imagine the plasmas do work around. They can also it also has some modules for magnetohydrodynamics, so a little bit of the electromagnetic interaction with the fluid. So that could be very much on the plasma side of things. So yeah, we can certainly, let's maybe we'll reach out and discuss a little bit more about what your requirements are there. Then next up, Mohan.
There's another one about, I guess, more referring to consulting.
Yeah. So we offer quite a range of options within sort of Ansys. So obviously, we're talking about selling the software to you, but we have a lot of options there in terms of buying upfront, but there's also various options for leasing costs. So if you just want to use the software for a short time for a particular project, then you only need to purchase it for that limited time. And that's usually a little bit, can be quite cost effective depending how you want to work on it. So that is our sort of preferred method. We do, as Qfinsoft, we do consulting work with the software. So we'll talk to you about your project, and we'll take your model, we'll set it up in the software, generate the results, and then provide that back to you. That becomes a bit of a gray area with academia. We don't want to be in the position where we're doing your research work for you. But if you are doing the work as a more of a sort of in connection with a commercial client or something like that, then that's could be, we could very well help you there. So again, let's get in touch and discuss what exactly you want to do, and we'll see where we can help you there. And then last one there, do you have any jobs currently available? So unfortunately not at the moment. So we, as I said, we're kind of a small team and trying to grow things. If we often do get requests from companies, and if we try and connect sort of graduates and companies, but yeah, it's nothing formal at the moment.
Okay, any further questions? We had a lot, so thanks for everybody's question and participating in it. I will stop the recording.